Though all these things may ensnare us, all those things that the Bible characterizes as the world, but the Greek uses cosmos, which means absolutely everything, pretty much, that is not God. All those things can make our lives miserable, but they can never break the relationship we have with God entirely. God does not accept our indifference. God does not accept our lifetime of ignoring God. God does not allow us to become orphans. God may allow us to become prodigal sons and daughters who go away for 20 years, 30 years, 40 years, or 50 years, but God will never disown us. Amen.
Amen.
God will never say, I have come to the end. God does not believe in tough love. And God does not believe in writing people out of God's will.
Amen.
Many of the things that we as a community, and I don't just mean lesbian, gay, bisexual, and transgender, I mean everybody in this community, because frankly we stand in solidarity with everyone, whether they be gay, straight, or whatever. Everyone gets messed up by parents, and everyone gets messed up by the church. That is the nature of life, it seems. And it seems that it is our motivation under God to try and change that and break the cycle. And I think we are uniquely blessed to try and do that as Metropolitan Community Church. But no matter how we fall, no matter what a pickle we may find ourselves in our lives, whoever we may be, whether we go away for 20 years or 30 years or 40 years, we can expect that running across that field, shedding all dignity and robe, and in front of everybody, in front of the bishops and the archbishops, in front of the high priests and the Sanhedrin, will be God giving up the dignity which is rightly in the place of the creator of the universe, in order to accept the indignity of stooping to embrace humanity.
Amen.
God embraced humankind in Jesus Christ. God became man and woman in symbolic form and in human flesh, that we may become God. We are not alone in this journey. Even though we may feel alone, we are not alone. Even though we may complain bitterly about our lack of faith, even though we may imagine and talk to people as if we are believing in something that is never seen and that we have absolutely no proof of, the reality is something very different. I always think of a simile, even when I was in Los Angeles watching the terrible pictures of Hurricane Katrina unfolding, I thought of this image, that somebody is swimming through the waters, whether they be flood waters or the ocean, complaining bitterly about their impending death, in terror of their life. The reality is that alongside them is a boat, dry clothes, and water. We are the persons swimming through those floodwaters. The reality is that no matter how despairing or terrifying those floodwaters are, beside us is the boat. We need to get in the boat. It's like the joke that is told about the guy who has absolute perfect faith and is stood on top of his roof during a flood. The floodwaters come up. And first of all, along comes a boat and says, get into the boat. And he says, no, I have faith that God is going to save me. I'm not going to accept your help. And then a little later, along comes another boat and tries to get him in. He says, no, I believe in God. And then eventually, on the third occasion, along comes a helicopter and drops down a chariot for him to get in. And they shout from the helicopter, get in, you're going to drown. And he says, no, I believe that God is going to save me. And eventually, he drowns. And he arrives at the pearly gates, and he kneels before the throne of God, and he said, why did you forsake me? I had faith in you. And God says, but I sent you 2 boats there.
Amen.
That's the reality of our human lives. I spent most of my 20s complaining bitterly about my lot in life, and complaining that God didn't exist, that God had abandoned me, that I had no faith, that the church was the most demonic institution there was, because I had been injured by a group of human beings who attended a church in Audrey St. Mary in rural Devon. But as I testified a couple of weeks ago, I failed to remember the fact that I had been blessed beyond belief every time I attended that church, that I only ever remembered the bad, that I had forgotten the blessings 2 weeks after I stopped going there, and that same God was pressed up against my face, ready to embrace me with open arms as soon as I said the word. That our faith life is not saying, yes, I accept you, God, and then you don't have to do anything else. Because we are creatures of free will, we have to continuously say, I accept you, God. And I don't mean say it again and again and again. I mean never stop saying it. I mean we have to say yes, yes, yes with our hearts again and again and again and again and again. Because every second that goes by and every minute that goes by, we have changed. We are not the person we were 10 minutes ago that said yes to God. We are a new person that needs to say yes to God. Amen. The reality is that God does not cheat on us. That God does not try to get around us, and God doesn't use loopholes. God doesn't say, like we characterize making a deal with the devil, that out of I've sold my soul, I can never go back on that. No. We say yes to God as we were, then we must say yes to God as we are. Then we must say yes to God as we will be. And we must continue to say yes to God. It is an act of will. We are creatures of free will. It is what makes us godlike. We are glorious. We are not robots. We are not creatures to be ordered around. We're extraordinary things. Each and every one of you does things in their everyday lives which can transform human lives. You are capable of doing things which can transform the entire world. One human being can set in motion a train of events that can transform a whole society.
Amen.
Great movements and great countries are led by individuals. It is nonsense to say that we have no power, that we are merely pawns being moved around by someone else. We have extraordinary power. It's often most visible and most dramatic and most rapid when we choose to use that power for the bad, when we choose to turn our backs on the example of God's loving kindness in our lives, and when we choose to turn away from the example of Christ. So it was only a few human beings driving planes into 2 buildings in New York that changed the entire course of human history. Never say that the individual doesn't matter. The individual does matter, for bad, but also merciful, for good. We are extraordinary human beings. We are fully human. The advocate that we are going to be given, this Holy Spirit, which, praise God, over the last 2 weeks we have felt in this church. Ever since Pentecost, there has been a spirit in this church which I've never felt since I've been an adult. I felt it when I was a child, but it was